What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of FitBizU. I'm your host, Jill Coleman, and today we are going to talk about something I call contextual selling. Contextual selling. And I was thinking about doing this episode. I recently saw on Threads. If you guys are not on Threads, you're missing out. The conversation is fun over there. I'm at JillFit if you want to follow and connect. But I do like Threads because there's a lot of really interesting ideas, and I follow a lot of really cool thought leaders and smart folks over there. I learned a lot. And I saw this person say, and it was an opinion, but I agreed with it. She said, I hate to break it to you, but the more you talk about your offers, the more you sell. And I find that to be exactly true. Now, I want to talk about this because I know that many of us have a lot of feels around selling in general. Maybe you feel like selling is sleazy. Maybe you don't like selling. Maybe it feels self-promotion. Maybe you feel like a used car salesman. Maybe you feel like that person, that cold DM you get, and you're like, I don't want to be that person. Maybe you're like that person from high school who's always doing a new network marketing opportunity and hitting you up in your messages, and you're like, I don't want to be that person. So I think we have a lot of feels around selling, but I think it's mostly because we have the wrong idea about selling. And I noticed this because when I work with a lot of my newer students in FBA, Fitness Business Accelerator, when I work with my new students in FBA, they are talking about their coaching a lot. And they are getting kind of fatigued on it because they're doing it in a way that feels like a broken record. So when you're not familiar with what we're going to talk about today, which is contextual selling, you think that selling is just hit me up in the DM, let's jump on a call, fill out my application, like a very direct call to action. Now, there is a time and a place for direct calls to action, right? If you're in the middle of a launch, if you're doing a one-on-one niche launch, if you're doing an open close cart launch, if you're doing a flash sale of some kind, yes, you need to be selling directly. You need to tell people, go to the link in my bio, drop the keyword below, send me a DM, right? Like that has to be front and center. So that's what we call direct selling. Direct selling is like, hey, the cart is open, it's go time. And if that is the case, I want you guys selling hard. Your cart is open. You're doing your 7-day one-on-one niche launch. Like you're pushing something now. So don't water it down. Direct sales when you are selling. But what I see is a lot of indirect sales all the time, and people are getting fatigued and you're getting fatigued. So an indirect sale would be things like, hit me up if you need any help. If you're looking to work with someone, let me know. Like it's these very vague, very general um, sentences that are sort of buried at the bottom of a caption, or they're like buried on the very end of a reel. And when people see these things, oftentimes they do not elicit action. Not because people don't want to work with you, but it's just not strong enough, right? Like if you're selling something and you're like, all right, I'm fucking selling this week, then you better have a really strong call to action. Go here, click on this, send me a DM. Here's what I want you to say. Drop the word below, go to the link in my bio, click on this. Like I'm telling people what to do. If you're selling, be selling and be very clear and direct on what you want people to do. But what I see a lot is this very like general, sort of vague calls to action. And then people are like, I don't know why I'm not getting any inquiries. No one's blowing up my DMs. And I'm like, well, you didn't even ask for a sale. You just said like, hey, let me know if you need any help. And I want to normalize this because I think without knowing how to sell, this is how we all would sell. And that's why, of course, you guys are here. So, what contextual selling does is it talks about your offers all the time without being in your face. So, I'll give you guys some examples. And it's just like this person said, the more you talk about your offers, the more you sell. And I don't want you guys, obviously, to turn into an account on social media that's just all about selling all the time, right? Sell, sell, sell. There are accounts like that. And I'm always interested in those kind of accounts because those people do make a lot of money. It just feels like they don't give a lot of value. So a lot of their posts will be very like highly resonant, meaning they'll be like, here's the mistakes that you're making, or here's why you're stuck in this and this. And people are swiping through and going, oh my God, this is me, this is me, this is me. And this is great. This is messaging. But all of the posts are like that. And then at the end of it, it'll be like, when you're ready to make millions of dollars, my work is for you, or something like that, right? So it's very like, so there are accounts that are like that, and those accounts make a lot of money, but that may not sit well with you. It certainly doesn't sit well with me because I want to give a lot of value. I want there to be another reason for people to follow me than to like, the only people following these accounts that are like selling all the time are other business coaches who are trying to learn how to sell all the time. Right? So like I follow them because I follow them through the business lens, but I'm also like, I don't even know what they do because all they do is like just sell. And so we definitely need to have value given, but we also can give value while also talking about our offer. So I want to talk about this. This is what I mean by contextual selling. And those of you who are in FBA, if you've done social media bootcamp with me, if you've done Story U with me, you know what this is. But it's a way for you to talk about the fact that you are a coach and the fact that you do have clients and the fact that your clients do well without a direct ask. So, for example, I can share a case study of a client. And I love case studies because they're highly valuable. I'm actually teaching something as I'm telling you about my client's success. So, I might say, here's so and so. And when she started in FBA, she came in and she was like, she didn't have a social media account. So, I actually did tell the story of Kayla. Shout out to Kayla. Last year, she did FBA and she came in, she didn't have an Instagram account. And then when she started, she had a couple hundred followers, like most people do, friends and family. And within like the 6 months of FBA, I think she made like $51,000 in the first 6 months in FBA. And she had a small following. Like, I don't think she broke 1,000 followers until she was done with FBA. And I always tell that story because I always want to know, what are the best practices? That's why using case studies to educate your audience is valuable, because you're saying, hey, here's the best practices. Here are the 3 things that Kayla did to make $51,000 in her first 6 months online. And I'm actually teaching as I'm talking about a client who has had success with my coaching program. And so, in that way, it is selling, but it's showcasing what I have to offer. And it's also showcasing what they can do, even if they decide not to join FBA. I'm like, hey, these are things that she did. Just go do them. Whether you decide to join FBA or not, let me share with you the important dial movers that she did, the important steps that she took. Shout out to Gina, who I know listens to the podcast, and she's an FBA. And I did a little case study on her. She was actually going through a launch, and I kind of just like went through what her transformation, her business transformation had been within FBA. And here's someone who already had a lot of attention. She had a lot of clients, but she was charging not nearly as much as she should be. So she had to go through this whole process of increasing her rates and, launching a new program. And she did a webinar for the first time and all these kind of business firsts. And she ended up having her biggest year ever in business last year. And so I'm able to talk about my clients and brag on them. And I'm not even being like, they wouldn't have done this without me. I'm like, they had the skills, they just needed the strategy, right? I'm here as a facilitator. I'm like the Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm like, all right, I'm showing them where to go. They already have the talent, they already have the expertise, they already have the genius. It's just me basically helping them to corral the actual business strategy to them be able to do it. And so I'm bragging on my clients, which feels good to me, and it hopefully feels good to them. And I'm also sharing what the clients did. And so the best practices. This is what is a case study. So a case study is different than a testimonial. A testimonial is like in their words. I do see people using testimonials on social media. I don't love them, only because testimonials like, hey, it's a video of one of my clients talking about her experience in FBA. Now, I do like these because I like to know, like, how did they do in FBA? But in terms of how well they do on social media, they don't do all that great, because no one's going to sit there and watch someone just talk about their experience in a course, right? Like maybe you put those on a sales page, maybe you put them in an email to your list, something like that. They don't do as well on social media. But what does do well on social media is stories. So I can tell a whole story in a carousel post or a green screen over some kind of video. I can tell the story of my client. That is me actually sharing the testimonial of my client. Now, the client needs to agree. So I'm like, hey, I will tell my clients like, hey, here's what I want to say. Is that true? And they'll say, yeah. And I'm like, cool. So I'm going to tell the story of the client. And in telling that story, I get to say, these are the things the client did to have that success. And the context, of course, is that they're in something like FBA. And so I am talking about best practices of the people who have success. This is also what we call model of the world. So model of the world is like, here's 6 things that my mastermind students do to hit $500,000 per year. And I will just say, and I'll brag on my mastermind clients. I'm like, all of my clients, all my mastermind students do these things. And most of them are either at or are going to be at 500,000 to $1 million a year. And so when I say, I say these are the best practices, these are the commonalities that I see amongst my clients who are doing the best. It is a really highly valuable post, right? It's chock full of information, it's full of education, chock full of solutions. And I get to the context, of course, is where the contextual selling comes in, is that they did it within my container, whether it's FBA or my mastermind or legacy or whatever. And so the context, of course, is that I'm here helping them along. Now, again, they're experts at what they do. They're awesome at what they do. I just help them with the game plan. I just help them with the playbook. That was it. And so contextual selling means that I'm talking about my offers, but I'm not talking about them in a way that's like, hey, let me know if you need any help. In this very general way, I'm saying, like, I'm just showcasing. That's all I'm doing. I'm showcasing what I can do for you. And you guys can do this every single week if you want. I have colleagues who do, like, they call it a weekly Wednesday. Like, instead of Wednesday, they call it Wednesday. And they just share screenshots from clients. And it's cool because they get a ton of like little screenshots from people who go through their courses. And then they just go, hey, you guys, and they feature a different course. I think they have like dozens of courses. They feature a different course every single Wednesday. So for me, I could say like, hey, it's weekly Wednesday, and I share the screenshots from FBA. And I say, hey, I want to brag on my clients today because they're absolutely fucking crushing this week. And I share little screenshots from my clients on Wednesday. There's no call to action. It is just literally me showcasing the kinds of results that people are getting in my course. There's no call to action, but it is contextual selling so that when I go to open the doors for FBA or I start talking about my coaching, I am top of mind for people. This is a way for you to stay top of mind for potential clients who are looking for a coach. And so contextual selling is just talking around, it's like it's marketing around the marketing, right? It's like not a direct call to action. Again, if you're in the middle of a launch, I want you directly selling. Like go to the link in my bio, drop the word below, doors are open, doors are closing, everything's expiring, whatever. Like I do want you guys, if you're in a launch, I do want you directly selling. But if you're not in a launch and you want to build familiarity around your offers, or you have an evergreen offer like one-on-one coaching, then I do want you contextually talking about it all the time. Another way to talk about contextual selling is like, who do you work with? So, for example, you could do a post that's like, here's why I don't work with beginners. Here's exactly why I only work with moms of young children. Here is why I don't take on people who want to lose body fat, right? Like a line in the sand is you talking about your coaching, who you work with, who you don't work with. And it creates a level of exclusivity. It's like, ooh, I wonder if I'm the kind of person Jill works with. Oh, that's interesting. I don't make the cut. You guys have maybe heard me use this example before. It was a couple of years ago. I got an email from a content creator, influencer, course creator person that I follow. And she has a pretty big following, massively successful business. And she said, I'm opening the doors to my mastermind. And I was like, ooh, maybe I'll look at her mastermind. And she said, I'm opening the doors to my mastermind for applications, but you must fit this criteria. And one of the criteria was you had to be a mom. And of course, she's a mom. And this made a lot of sense. But I remember thinking, like, like I don't make the cut because I don't have kids. And so it was, it's fine. It is what it is. It's her prerogative. I wasn't mad, but it was interesting because I did have that feeling of like, oh, this is going to be a really exclusive container. And you guys can do that too. It's like you want people in your own audience to be like, oh, I hope I'm the type of person that Jill works with. Oh, I hope I make the cut, or where do I fit, right? They want to know that there's a specific place that they should go to work with you. And if you share, here's who I work with, here's who I don't work with, here's why this is the kind of person I work with, here's the kind of results that my clients get. All I'm doing is just sharing little features and benefits about the coaching. That's it. And it gives people all of the information. This is what's called transparency marketing. It gives people all the information so they can make an informed decision. And when I do that, it is value. It's value, even though it's not like here's the 1, 2, 3 way to X, Y, and Z. It still has value because I am sharing, I'm educating, and I'm giving people context around my offers. So I would love if you guys did this at least once a week? Could you do one case study per week? Could you share a weekly Wednesday, right? I was doing this for a while and then I kind of fallen off of it, but I was doing like, hey, here's my, client success this week, or here's some snippets from my clients this week. Even if you just have some sort of cadence where like every Sunday you're just sharing, you're bragging on your clients. And it doesn't even have to be about you, it's about them, right? It's like, look how much they've done. And you could do a post where you're like, I've done whole episodes on my podcast about this, like 5 best practices from 6-figure earners. Here are the, 10 things that you need to do if you want to get to 7 figures, right? And so, or to $10,000 months. My clients who do the best do these things. Again, it's contextual because while there may be not a strong call to action to say like, hey, go link my bio, I'm sharing contextually that 1, I have clients, 2, I'm a coach, 3, my clients get fucking results. So if someone is looking for a coach, who else are they going to go to? Right? So contextual selling, the more you talk about your offers, the more sales you make. But don't talk about your offers in this very like vague, general, sort of watered down way. Send me a message if you want help, or let me know if I can help you with anything, right? Again, if you're going to be selling, or just build around have like, build familiarity around your offers. So for example, I talk about FBA probably every single week. I definitely talk about FBA every single time on this podcast, but FBA only opens once or twice a year. So the rest of the time, I'm building familiarity around it. I'm maybe getting people onto a wait list. By the way, if you want to get on the wait list, you can go to jillfitfree.com/FBA-waitlist. It's also in the show notes. I'm building context around it because I want people to be excited for the next time that it opens. Even though no one can come and just enroll right now, I'm building anticipation. I'm building familiarity, and I want you guys doing this at least every single week, especially for your signature offers, even if you only open cart once or twice a year. Good? The other thing I will say, y'all, is what we call, and I might have done an episode on this, I don't remember, but there is this other phenomenon I see quite a bit. It is called compound sales. Compound sales is when you are actively promoting one offer, but you start making sales in another offer. This happens to us all the time. So, and I'm sure it has for you if you've ever done a launch. I'll be promoting FBA. Maybe FBA doors are open. I'm promoting FBA and I'm in sales energy, right? My energy is in sales. I'm like, the card is open. I am selling. I'm talking about the offer. I'm trying to get people off the fence. I'm trying to overcome objections, right? I'm doing all the things because the card is open. And I get people without a doubt hitting me up in my DMs during that card open and go, hey, I know FBA is open. I think FBA might be too beginner for me. What else do you have for me? And I'm like, cool, let's jump on a sales call. Let's talk about it. Or send me back some voice notes. Let's chat. And I try to get them onto the waitlist for a legacy or the waitlist, or I do a sales call for the mastermind, right? Or I tell them to go and work with Shantae if they need that. So compound sales is when you are in the energy of selling, you will get other people coming out of the woodwork and buying other shit. We always, whenever we promote a fitness product, we're getting ready to promote the Built Blueprint here in a couple weeks. We always make sales for other fitness products, always, every single time. Because again, I'm talking about fitness. I'm in the energy of selling. People are going to my website more often. They're looking to see what I have. And this makes a lot of sense. You guys, this probably happens to you if you're launching a group offer or maybe you're launching a course. You always get people who want one-on-one. Always, right? You're gonna do a sales call and the person is like, I don't really know. Do you do one-on-one? And you're like, yep. And then you sign them for one-on-one, even though you're promoting for group. This happens all the time with my clients. So compound sales still count as sales. Even if it's not for the thing you are actively promoting, it still is a money-making activity. So compound sales also is a phenomenon that happens simply because you are in the energy of selling. Good? All right, y'all. That's all I got for you today. I want to talk about that because this is really important. And if you're looking for a cadence, I would recommend at least once a week doing some contextual sales, even if it's something that you are selling is not open. Get people onto a wait list. That can be an evergreen call to action. But we want to build familiarity around the offers. We want to build trust around the offers. We want to get people on wait lists for the offers. Or if you have an evergreen offer, then you should do a case study on a client at least once a week, whether it's a carousel post where you're telling the story, or it's a green screen where you have something behind you and you're telling the story of the client, best practices, model of the world. Utilize all of this because while it's not direct selling, it is definitely building familiarity and a reputation around your offers. Good? Alrighty, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for being here as usual. And if you have any ideas or you have something you would love for me to touch upon in the podcast, please send me a DM at JillFit at FitBizU. You know where to find me. And I would love, love, love y'all ideas, anything you have going on right now in your own business, anything you're working through, anything sort of you're struggling with or a challenge you're having. Feel free to hit me up if you have an idea, and I will try to do my best to do an episode on it. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.